Hi everyone, this is a quick tutorial video on how to comment on your papers. So in the past you've been receiving these papers with my comments done in Microsoft Word and what I call the review tab, or track comments, you might sometimes hear it called that. And so when you pull up your paper, you'll have a column on the right side of the page where you'll see that I've made comments. So what I have here for you is actually two different documents. The first one is a model paper from a much earlier semester. It doesn't look like any of your other papers other than the MLA formatting, and it's not on a subject you would write at all. But I can use this to illustrate how to set up the review tab and use it. And also I have pulled up for you the things that make writing teachers cringe, which is a central document for you. And I've been wanting you to use this all semester long. In fact, I've been encouraging in most of your comments to use this all semester long to help you guide your understanding of what an academic paper should look like, what it should do, how it should be approached. So this document guides your comments often. That's not to say that you can't use Writing Matters or Successful College Writing in your textbooks. In fact, you should be using those as well. But these comments are really, really important. So another document I'm going to download quickly, if you'll give me a second here, that may also be helpful for you is the rubric for the class. If you recall, you were given a rubric very early in the semester, and it's the same rubric I use every class. Um, let's find this here. Here it is, English Standard Essay Grading Rubric. Let me download it. It's the same rubric I've used for every paper for you. Uh, and I expect you to also understand this document. So here it is. You can see it right there. And it's set up a little bit different in your graded papers, your comments, but the basic concept of it is the same. Of course, that you will, sorry for that, it actually messed up there because I had to minimize it. So let me clear that out so you can see it. Alright, let's add it back in. There we go. Okay. So the basic idea here is I will give you a point for each of these. So content, you might get a 2. And if you get a 2 in content, your task is to look at this box here, which is the box that corresponds with 2, and then look in your paper and see what things you're doing that are causing you to get a 2 instead of a 3. If you get a 1 in grammar and mechanics, you can look here and identify the things that you are doing that will cause you to get a 1 instead of a 2 or 3. That's the whole process. So in order to earn those 10 points back on these last 3 papers, in the case of the definition paper, if you typed it in Connect as the assignment called for, you can go ahead and copy and paste what you typed in Connect into a Word document and set it up to look like a normal paper and start adding the review. If you hand wrote it in class during a class meeting, you can retype it that way, or you can mark it for the paper portfolio, because my face-to-face students turn in a paper portfolio. You can mark it by hand using some of the strategies we've talked about in face-to-face meetings. So let's look at this essay here, this model essay, and start thinking about how we would comment on it. So the first thing I would do actually is I would check the title. And in this instance, the title is really good. So I'll go and highlight it. And then I'll pull up this review here, this review tab, and I'll hit new comment. And when I hit the new comment, I can say something like, this is a really interesting title. If it connects to the content, you will have accomplished much. Something along those lines. And that's all you have to do to comment. So, for example, this here, this is actually a problem. Too conversational. See things that make writing teachers cringe. And so, for example, this sort of thing where I'm commanding my audience, that's not a very good idea, right? So if I looked at things that make writing teachers cringe, for example, uh, I could put that under, let's pull that up. I could put that under some of these things like, don't forget you have an audience for any formal writing. Don't write directly to your teacher or classmates. Don't make formal announcements. Avoid a speech-making tone. You know, that sort of thing. Which if you look at this paper, right, you look at this paper, you can see a lot of that here. This is all speech-making tone and announcements. Remember, you have a formal audience. So this is the sort of thing you would look at. And on the rubric, this person would have gotten a like a 2 for development or a 2 for content because this sort of thing. You know, this, for example, is a grammatical issue. This is a fragment. One word does not make a sentence, right? So when you're going back and looking at your paper, you can go in and based on my rubric, you can get a rough idea of what some of the issues are. And then I really do want you to go in and think about this step by step by step, right? And go in and sort of unpack your paper and look for these errors that you have. And it all goes back to this idea that one of my mentors, writing teachers, actually said to me that if you are a tutor or a teacher and you're holding the pen, the student is not learning. So at the beginning of the semester, I like to set up students with the materials so they can kind of get used to how to comment on these papers, what those comments look like, what are some of the stereotypical issues that they may encounter with their writing. And then at this point in the semester, I like to put the ball in your court, to be cliche, to be colloquial, and to try to get you to start doing this yourself with your own writing. Now you still have the benefit of me having completed a rubric before you go in and comment on your papers. But this is actually something you should start doing before turning in your papers. In fact, probably one of the biggest issues I've seen all semester long is even though I've given this document to you very early in the semester, I don't think any of you are using it despite recommendations to my face-to-face students, definitely, and I'm sure I've commented on almost everybody's paper that's been getting below an 80 that they need to look at this. I don't think many of you actually have been using this document. So I'm actually going to attach this document underneath this video too on the news feed to help you. But definitely use this document. There's a reason the subtitle is How to Lower Your Grade Without Even Trying, because essentially that's what you do when you make these errors. You know, the basic grammar errors, the basic apostrophe errors, things like the audience with formal writing, this is huge for many of you. Appropriate language as well comes up. Unnecessary words, vague words like things, today, society, we as humans, melodramatic punctuation, and then, you know, sentence level errors. And then, of course, although I have to say with the definition paper, this was not as big an issue. Only a few of you did this. But the use of second person seems to be something a lot of students can't let go of for whatever reason. Uh, Second person is never acceptable in an academic paper. So your task now with the last 3 essays for my Lamar State College Orange students, and for any other students who might be taking classes with me in the future, you may have 2 or 3 essays to finish the semester out. Either at Lamar State College Orange or other institutions, is to start to comment on your own papers using the review tab. And it should look something like what you see here. Hold on just a second. Here, that I showed you there. Something along those lines. And the goal here is to go back and understand exactly why you got the grade you received. You know, a number of students will email me from time to time and say, well, why did I receive this grade on this assignment? And I've spent a lot of time commenting on papers all semester long. So now it's your turn to figure out why you received that grade and to show me that you're doing that thinking. Now, as promised, for online students, you will submit a digital portfolio at the end of the semester that will include every single paper that you've done for me. The first 3 papers obviously have my comments, so those will need to be saved and then saved in PDF or DOC format, and then saved up and uploaded to that portfolio with my comments. And you'll have the correction log that you should have been filling out all semester long as well. The last 3 papers, you'll have to cut and paste the definition paper into a Word document to do this. But in order to get the 10 points extra added back to these papers, this will have to be completed. Now, obviously, you'll have to have more than 4 comments. You'll need to really go in there and work on your paper. Now, you have some resources available at the college to help you with that. The tutoring center over in the library here is great, and they can work with you on that. If you know somebody who is a good grammarian are a good writer, it may be helpful to actually talk with them. And another strategy, if you are really uncertain of your writing abilities, is to use Writing Matters. Use the MLA section, use the grammar sections in there to help you. Use what you've read in there, because if you've been doing the Connect chapters correctly, you've been reading the assigned sections before taking the Connect quizzes, and that should have actually taught you a thing or two about writing concisely, using appropriate language, writing in the college, and writing professionally, which is really the key goal here. So that is how you use the review tab to comment on a Microsoft Word document. That is the way you will be using this document, Things That Make Writing Teachers Cringe, for the rest of the semester to help improve your writing. Again, at the end of the semester, I will add 10 points to every paper that you comment on like this for the last 3 papers. It is not required, except for you will have a very tough time doing the you'll have a very tough time doing the correction log for those papers if you don't do this. So that's added incentive. And as you know, your final exam essay will actually be a review of your writing progress throughout the semester, how much you have learned essentially through your reading, and an evaluation of your own writing and your own process. Talking about that, writing an essay on that. That'll be one option for that final exam. Okay, so if you have any questions, as always, if you have any questions on this topic, please email me and I'll be happy